Hello, Kipsters. Today is Thursday, March 16th. We are continuing our work with the new instruments, the string family. And today we're going to be going into the lower side of the violin family. So all these first four instruments we're learning are a part of the violin family. And remember, yesterday we learned about the violin and then the lower cousin or sister or whatever you want to call it of the violin, the viola. So yesterday we had the violin, which is the highest instrument in the violin family. And then we have the viola, which is the second highest family in the violin family. And now we're coming up to the cello, which is my personal favorite in the violin family. And it is an instrument you've probably seen before. As I'll move on to this next slide, remembering if you're following along in the Nearpod that you have to be clicking next when I'm clicking next on the screen so that you can be on the same slide as us. And you can read along if you would like to as well. But on my YouTube video right now, you can see this picture of the cello. And from this picture, it kind of looks the same size, like you could hold it in your hand. But actually, this is, like I said, one of the lower instruments. And so these last two instruments we're going to be learning about in the violin family are more, like they're very big. And this one particularly, you have to sit down when you play it. So we'll see a video of a couple people playing it here in a second. But the cello or the violoncello is a bowed string instrument with four strings tuned in perfect fifths. So that means that like each time there's four strings on it, each string you hit, it's five notes above that string before it. So if I hit an A on the very left string, and then the next note is going to be A, B, C, D, E. So five notes in front of it, and the next note will be E. And then if I do E, F, G, A, B, five notes in front of it, and so forth. That's what it means when it says split into perfect fifths. It is a member of the violin family of musical instruments, as I was saying, which also includes the violin and the viola. It is the second largest bowed string instrument in the modern symphony orchestra, the double bass being the largest, which we're about to learn about here soon. So this is the cello. And again, this is one of the very few instruments where, no, not very few, sorry. This is one of the instruments where you have to sit in the string family, where you have to sit to play it. You can't stand. You can stand up and play it, I'm sure, but this instrument is much better and easily played when you are sitting down. Recently, actually, there was an article of this man, Yo-Yo Ma. He was receiving his second vaccination, and he decided to play some cello for the people that were getting their vaccination because he was so, he was happy for the people giving the vaccination. He was thrilled for the people that were receiving it. So he decided to play a little song for those who were getting their vaccination. You might have seen the article if you follow along, but this is the song that he decided to play for people who were all receiving their vaccination yesterday or a couple days ago. And his name is Yo-Yo Ma, one of the premier cello players of our time. And that song was written, I don't know, maybe 600, 500, 500 years ago, probably more likely, maybe 450. But to this day, that is one of the most recognizable cello pieces. And so that's very cool that this person, Johann Sebastian Bach, could have written such a song and still have so much relevance to today. In fact, people still to this day are remaking it in their own ways. And so, as you'll see in this next video, the same song being played, but with an added little twist. So, before we go on, I know yesterday, one of my videos, I mentioned in the video that if it didn't work because YouTube is doing this copyright check thing right now, if it didn't work, that you could just watch the video on the Nearpod yourself. So again, if that last portion of the video was trimmed or just like randomly jumped from there to here, please go back into the Nearpod and watch the video and then continue on in the YouTube video. Same thing for this video. Again, this is a video of another man playing that same piece, but he added his own little twist to it. And this is, if you ever heard of the group Pentatonics, you might recognize this guy. And that, I can't tell you how challenging that is to do that at the same time, both beatboxing and play the cello. That particularly well. Very, very talented individual. And again, you can see him. There's an a cappella group. I know I've talked to you guys slightly, some of you, about a cappella. And a cappella is just when you make music and it's only human voices. And he is the main beatboxer in one of the most popular a cappella groups called Pentatonics. Very talented individual. And he actually first started on the cello and then picked up beatboxing a little later in life. and now he found a way to do both. Moving on, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Our next instrument we're going to be talking about is the double bass. Now, again, I talked about how these two instruments are the biggest. The two that we're learning today are the biggest in the violin string family. This is the biggest, okay? This is an instrument normally played standing up. All the other instruments, the violin, you would see violin players playing like this, but they're normally sitting down. Of course, they can stand up. And viola players normally sitting down, they can stand up, but cello players most always are sitting down. And then string players, the bass players, you'll see them if you're ever watching an orchestra, you'll see them all the way in the back, and they'll just be standing back there, usually three or four of them back there. Very recognizable instrument. The double bass is the largest and lowest bowed string instrument in the modern symphony orchestra and violin family. The double bass is played either with a bow, and as you saw in that very last video, you could see very well in that last video him playing the bow. So you can either play it with a bow, or you can play it by plucking the strings, which in music we call that pizzicato. Okay, so arco was with a bow, and then if we're just plucking the strings, we're playing pizzicato. In orchestral repertoire and tango music, both arco and pizzicato techniques are used. So a normal like orchestra, old school classical type of music, you'll usually hear the bow, but in jazz music, which we'll have a video of playing, most times they're just plucking the bow and getting a little jazz group going. All right, so we're going to hear two different groups. We're going to hear one group playing classically, and then in the last video we're going to watch is someone playing the video with a little bit of jazz in it. All right, let's watch this one and see what we got. Cool. So in some of those videos, some of those, you could see that they were playing without the bow. Some of them were playing without the bow. They were doing the pizzicato. And some of them were playing with the bow. You saw the guy in the main guy with the white shirt on. He was playing a lot with the bow. So with that instrument, you can play a very versatile, two different ways on that instrument, most likely. And on the other instruments, you can also pluck them in and play, pluck a few parts, but it's very popular on the double bass. Okay, and in this video, I believe we're going to watch someone play some jazz. I too thought that was very impressive. Not only was he playing, very deftly and very nicely, he was playing, he was beating on the cello or the double bass at the same time. So that was very, very much so incredible skill there. And that is, like I was saying, like a little bit of a jazz feel with that instrument and showing you live, like, you can play it with the string very well, or you can make an entire song like he just did with just your fingers on this instrument. So very cool instrument. I would say, more so people pick the violin than they pick this instrument to play. But if you were to ever pick this instrument to play, it is very easy to get a scholarship to some kind of college, to any kind of college. If you mained this instrument, if like this was your main instrument of choice, because not that many people pick this instrument, not that many people are auditioning for music school with this instrument or even playing this instrument. So the instruments that you don't really typically see are the instruments that you're most likely to have a lot of success with. But that doesn't mean that they're the easiest to play. Sometimes they're not played that well because it does take an incredible amount of skill to be very, very good at such instruments. So just a little food for thought. If you ever wanted to play an instrument, the less popular instruments, are the ones sometimes more sought after because they're not as popular. You know what I'm saying? Moving on to the last slide here, guys, we have a little quick quiz and then we are done with this video. I'll give you about 20 seconds on each question. Of the two instruments we just learned about today, which instrument is normally played while sitting down? Sorry, a little typo there, but again, question read to you. Which instrument is normally played while sitting down? Is it A, the cello, or B, double bass? Give you about 10 more seconds to answer. I think the last video really helped us with this question, but that's all right. If you picked A, cello, then you were correct. You saw even in the last video that guy was sitting down. And in the video of the 5 double bass players, only one guy was sitting down, but you saw that if you did see, his stool was was raised very high. So it was almost as if he was just kind of like lounging while standing. But yeah, normally the double bass is played while standing up. And go ahead and move on. Once you clicked cello, click next or submit. Which instrument is also used a lot in jazz music? Which instrument is also used a lot in jazz music? 10 more seconds. That last song I would categorize that we just watched into jazz music. And of course, he was playing the double bass. So if you clicked double bass, nice job. If you clicked cello for the last one, perfect. You got 100%. Awesome job. I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. I thought today's videos were fun and relevant and kind of gave you a real glimpse into the versatility of these instruments. I know I played the same song twice for the cello, but that particular piece is very much so a staple in the cello world, and maybe even a song you've already heard before. And the double bass, I also was very entranced by that jazz music player, so that was really cool to see and witness someone do that so well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys appreciate these lessons still. As always, Mr. Isaac has 3 things for you. You are kind, you are smart, and you are important. I look forward to the day we can make music together again. And until then, have an awesome day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.